Hello friends and welcome to YouTube channel Freedom Tech, and in this session what we are going to learn. In this session we are going to use YOLOv8 for people counting. I have already created several videos how you can use YOLOv8 for people counting, but in today's session we are going to use YOLOv8, but we are going to use a different method for counting. In previous video where we use a point polygon test method for people counting, where we draw the polylines and then we are going to count the person if the person inside the polyline area. But in today's session we are going to use cv2.line method. We are going to draw the line and we can simply create the method when the person center point, means when the object center point touch the line, then we are going to count the people. So let's get started. But before we move to our practical, friends, if you learn something from our videos, please consider to subscribe our channel. Okay friends, thank you so much, and let's get started. For that, first you need to install latest opencv and YOLOv8 on Windows machine. This is the Windows 11. For Windows 10 also same steps. I have already created a video how to install Thony, then how to install opencv and YOLOv8 on Windows machine. I will mention video link, watch video and install all these basic packages. Okay, so I have done with this basic installation. So for today's session I have created here a repository, and the repository name is YOLOv8 people counter. This is the repository. I will mention the link. You need to simply copy and paste the link inside the browser. Then what we are going to do, go to the code, click on download zip, and it will download zip format repository. Simply open show in folder. This is what our repository. Right click, WinRAR, and extract to the folder. Then as you can see we have here our folder YOLOv8 people counter -main, again same folder, and then inside that first we need our video file. So for that I have mentioned here a text file, and inside that text file we have a mega cloud link for video. So open browser, new tab, and just press Ctrl+V, paste the link and just hit enter. It will open the link of our video with p.zip. This is the folder, and inside that folder we have our video file. So click on download and it will download our video file. That's it friend, we have successfully downloaded our video file. Now simply open show in folder, and what we are going to do, we are going to move this folder inside our main folder. So just cut, and this is what our main folder, main repository, paste here. That's it. Now we are going to unzip our folder, extract here. So this is what our video file. So if I play the video file, and as you can see this is the video file where several people are basically walking. So what is our goal? Our goal is to detect the people with the help of YOLOv8, which is basic concept which I have already explained in previous video. I will mention the video link, then you will get the basic idea how to use YOLOv8 for object detection with the help of opencv and Python. So for today's session, as I mentioned, our goal is to detect the object and track the object and then count the object. So this is the video file, and our target is what, our goal is what, we want to not only count the people, how we can say the people is basically going up or going down. Simple. So this is what our video file. So inside our repository I have created a basic code, and inside that basic code we have tracker. As you can see, this is what our tracker.py file, which we are going to use a tracker, and inside that main.py we have basic code where we have YOLOv8 object detection tracker. Simple. So let me start main.py. Just click on the main.py, and as you can see this is what the main.py. Also we need here a cv zone, because we are going to use here cv zone method for put text method. Simple. So you need to simply install cv zone. Just go here, tools, manage packages, and just search for cv zone, just hit enter, and as you can see cv zone, computer vision helping library, cv zone, and as you can see I have already installed, that's why it say uninstall. Simply you need to click on install button and that's it, it will install CV zone. Simple. So CV zone, this is the packages which we are going to use. CV2 pandas as PD, numpy as np, then this is what our main module which is ultralytics import YOLO, then tracker file which I have already mentioned inside our repository. As you can see, this is what our tracker, the tracker file which we are going to use for tracking our object. Simple. So this is what our tracker. So we need to call our tracker in our main.py. So how we can call? Simply we need to mention the file from tracker name. So file name is basically tracker. So from tracker, our file name from tracker, we are going to import all the things from our file, as simple as. So from tracker import star, import CV zone, then model which we are going to use YOLOv8 s.pt, which is pre-trained model which basically detect the objects. So this is the function which we are going to use for tracking the mouse coordinates. So this is the function, when we move our mouse cursor on the frame, it will provide us a mouse coordinates. Simple. So this is the function. Then this is the window name for this function. Then we are going to use our coco.txt file. So in same repository I have mentioned coco.txt file where we have all the classes. For object detection we have all the classes. So we are going to simply read that file. So for that I have mentioned my file open coco.txt in read format. Then we are going to split the data one by one. Reading the data one by one means reading the classes names from the file one by one. And then we have a basic code. We are going to read our video file, that's it. Then this is the method for detection, YOLOv8 object detection. We have here rectangle coordinates, as you can see, x1, y1, x2 and y2. Then D is basically the class ID, okay, class ID, and we are going to put the class ID inside our class list. So C is equal to class list, our class list variable, and inside that we need to mention class ID. So if there is class ID 1, means we are basically detecting a person, if I am not wrong. If I open coco.txt, so as you can see 0 basically, because it starts from 0 and 1. So 0 for person. So if the class ID is 0, then it will take the person from our coco.txt file. Simple. So this is how we will get the class name also. Simple. So in this scenario we only want to detect the person. So simply we don't want to detect any other object. So we can simply create the condition. If there is a person, then only we want to detect our object. So if there is person in C, C is basically our class list. So if there is person in C, then only we are going to detect object. Simple. So after that, now we have detection. Now simply we want our tracker. So how we can use the tracker? For tracker we need object coordinates. So how we can get the object coordinates? Simple. Object coordinates means our object rectangle box, because when we detect the objects, of course there is a rectangle on that particular object. So when we detect the person, there is a rectangle on each person. So simply we can save their rectangle coordinates inside the list, and we are going to pass the list of the rectangle coordinates inside our tracker, and then tracker will be detect the person and track the person, and it will assign the ID for each person. This is the method. This is how our tracker will work. It will assign the ID with the help of rectangle coordinate for each person. Okay, that's why we need a list. So simply if there is person in our class, then we can create a list. So simply here I have mentioned list. First it will empty list, then list dot append, and inside that we need to pass x1, y1, x2 and y2. As simple, as simple. Okay, so we have now list, and inside that list we have our rectangle coordinates. That's it. Now we are going to call our tracker. So we mention here, as you can see, I have mentioned here tracker is just a variable and tracker is equal to tracker. So what is tracker? Tracker is basically our class. As you can see, the class which we have inside our tracker.py. Simple. And we have update function. So how we can call our tracker? So we need to mention this tracker. So as you can see, I have mentioned here, tracker is equal to T capital, tracker class, and then simple bbox id, it is just a variable. Bbox id is equal to tracker our variable, and inside that tracker, what is the function? The function name is basically update. So we need to call the update. So tracker dot update, and inside that we need to provide the rectangle coordinates. Means we are going to provide the list, because inside that list we have a rectangle coordinates. Simple. So simply I have mentioned here a list. That's it. Now we have the list inside our bbox id. So we want to use here a for loop. So for bbox in bbox id. Now we have new rectangle coordinates with the help of tracker and new variable which I have already mentioned, which is id. So we are going to create a new four variables for rectangle, which is x3, y3, x4 and y4, and the id, which is basically our bbox, because bbox id is now our bbox in for loop. Now we have x3, y3, x4, y4. This is the new rectangle coordinates with the help of our tracker, because we have now new rectangle coordinates with the help of our tracker, which basically track the person and assign the id. So x3, y3, x4, y4 and id. So simply we can draw here a rectangle. Simple. We need each rectangle center point. So simply cx and cy is basically x3 plus x4 divided by 2 and y3 plus y4 divided by 2 int. Simple. So now we have a center point for each object. So simply here I have mentioned civ2.circle method. Now simply what we are going to do, we are going to mention here a civ2.rectangle. Now we have the rectangle with the help of tracker. Also we have id, also we have center point. Okay, so let's just draw the civ2.rectangle method. civ2. This is the basic code which I have already mentioned. So we are going to start from now. First we are going to simply draw the rectangle, civ2.rectangle, and we are going to draw the rectangle on our frame, of course. Then we need the new coordinate, which is x3, y3, x4 and y4. So x3, y3 and x4 and y4. That's it. And then what else we want? We want a color. So let's say red 0/0/255, and thickness, which we are going to mention 2. So now we are going to start our code, and of course first it will download our basic model YOLOv8s.pt pre-trained model, and then we have the rectangle and the center point for object with the help of our tracker. Simple. So now it's downloading our YOLOv8s.pt pre-trained model. Okay, so what is the issue? I think issue is because I have changed the video file name. It's now widp, but inside the code we have mentioned only vid. So we need to mention p here. The file name is widp, that's why there is no basically video file, that's why there is nothing happened. Okay, so simply I have changed the file name. Video file name is now widp. I have mentioned here only vid.mp4, and as you can see friends, we have basically object detection. There is a person, there is a rectangle, and each person we have center point, because we mention here we want here a circle and rectangle. Okay, so we detect the object with the help of YOLOv8, also our tracker. Now we need to what is our main object? We need id. So simply we are going to put the id on each object rectangle top corner. Okay, top left corner basically. So cvzone, as I mentioned, we are going to use here cvzone method for put the text. cvzone dot put text, cvzone dot put Dist is basically capital. Swzone dot put text rect, put text rect, and where we want to put our text, we want to put our text on our frame. Then what else we want to mention like this way f, then like this way, and inside that we need to pass our id because we want to put the id on each object, so we need to mention this id variable like this way. Now we want to mention the coordinates, so as I mentioned, we want to put the id on top left of rectangle coordinates, object top left coordinates rectangle. So object top rectangle coordinate is basically x3 and y3, so we need to mention here x3 and y3, simple. And then the text is basically inside the rectangle, so that rectangle size I have mentioned, I am going to mention here 1, and the text size I am going to mention 2, simple. So now here I am going to freeze the frame. If I start the code, and as you can see friends, there is a id on each person. If I skip the frame one by one, as you can see, this person, watch for this person, we have 9, this is the id for this person. So if I skip the frame one by one, there is a still 9 id for this person. Watch for this person, there is still 9 id. It means our tracker is perfectly working, it's tracking this person continuously. There is still 9, as you can see. You can take any person, watch for this person we have 16, he is going basically this side, okay. So 16 is there, still 16 is there, so it's really help us to track the people with the help of our tracker. Now we successfully track the people. Now we can simply count their frequency, means the person is basically going up or down, simple, that's it. Now as I mentioned, for counting the people frequency, we are going to use here cv2.line method, simple. So for that, again I am going to start the frame because I have already mentioned cv2.line, okay, and you see there is a line, there is 2 lines basically, one is basically green and another one is basically yellow. So this is the first area, we can say this is the first area and this is the second area, simple. So how I have draw the line, simple, we need a coordinate for drawing the line on our frame. So for that I have mentioned here a mouse function, as I already explained. So if I make my cursor over here, as you can see 2194, so you can simply mention here 3194 as it is. I just want to explain here how I have get the coordinates for drawing the line, most easy way. Simply you need to move your cursor where you want to start the line. So this is what my line startup point and this is what my line end point. Simply go here, you will get the coordinates inside the shell and you need to mention x and y. 1 is basically x and 196 is basically y. So I have mentioned c2.line 3 and 194, and here if I go here, this is what the end point. I have the coordinates is, as you can see, 1018 and 195. So 1018, 1018 and 194. Remember one thing, we need to mention this second, the end point y coordinate same as our starting point y coordinates. If here 194 and here 197, you need to mention here 194 same as your start y point, start line y point. That's why I have mentioned here 194, because these 2 points we need to mention same, simple. And same way I have draw the second line. Again we need to move our cursor over here, then 2 2 2 2 triple 2, I have mentioned here 5 2 2 0, and simply if I go here 1019 221 1018, if I go here, as you can see inside shell we have 1019 and triple 2. So here again if I mention here triple 2, there is a problem. we need to mention same coordinates which we have a startup point for y. So if here is 220, I need to mention here also 220. I hope you all clear. I am trying to make all these things as simple as simple. So this is how we need to draw the line. That's it. Now we have line. If I open frame again, as you can see, this is what our first line, this is what our second line. But first we are going to start with only our first line. We are going to use only first line, which is the green color. So we need to create here a condition. Our condition is what? I don't want to detect our object any other area. I just want to detect our object if the object center point touch to the first line, which is green color line. Means if my object center point touch this line, then only we are going to detect object, or then only we can say this is the object, or then only we are going to count the object. Simple. For that, what we want to do here, we need to create the variable for y coordinates, this y coordinate. So for this I have created here a variable which is cy1. cy1 is equal to, we need to mention this y 194. So here it is, as you can see, cy1 is basically our line 1 start y coordinate and end y coordinate. So 194. So here simply we are not going to mention 194, we are going to mention cy1, because cy1 is now basically 194, which is our y coordinate. So we don't want to mention the digit, we want to mention a variable which is cy1, okay, because cy1 is our y 194. Simple. Then we need offset. So offset is equal to 6, which I have already mentioned. This is the basic coordinates, okay. Offset is equal to 6. That's it. Now what we are going to do, as I mentioned, what is our condition? When the object center point, if it is touch the line 1. Simple. So cy1 and the offset and the cy, which is the center point of our object, cy, where is our cy? This is what our cy. Simple. So we are going to use these three variables. So let's say after where we have basically the circle coordinates cx and cy, then we are going to create the condition. So let's say for our knowing purpose, what we are going to do, we are going to detect the circle, then we are going to create the condition. So if for first line we have cy1, for first line we have cy1. So cy1 is basically our first line y coordinates, okay. So simply if cy1 is less than our cy plus our offset, which is 6 offset, and cy1, if it is greater than cy minus offset, So this is what our condition. If this condition match, then only I want to draw the rectangle, then only I want to put the ID, or we can say then only I want to assign the ID for each person when our condition match. And what is our condition? What the condition is basically when the object center point touch the first line, which is green line. Simple. So we create the condition. So now we will get the result. So as you can see, because we mention here, we want to draw the circle. There is no problem with the circle, but as you can see, we have center point for each object, but there is no rectangle, because we create the condition. When we want to draw the rectangle, we want to draw the rectangle only when the person center point touch to the first line, which is green line. That's why there is no rectangle for each person. As you can see, there is no rectangle because the person is not touching our line, the person center point not touching our line. So we are going to skip the frame one by one. because watch for this person is really nearby our first line. Okay, so as you can see, the person center point touch the line, there is a red color rectangle and there is a ID. This person, we have one ID. Skip the frame, there is no ID. So now watch for this person, okay, or this person. As you can see, he is also nearby our line, first line. As you can see friends, he is basically going this side, this person is basically going this side. So for this side also, when the person touch our green line center point, of course, then only there is a rectangle and there is a ID. For this person, watch, as you can see, it means our condition is perfectly working. Simple. Now what we want to do, we detect the person when the person touch our first area, or we can say touch our first line. Now what we are going to do, we want to count their frequency. Frequency in the sense, how we can say the person is basically going this side, or we can say this is basically downside and this is basically upside. So how we can say the person is going basically downside and person is basically going upside. So for that we need to save their current position when the person touch our first line, their current position and their current ID. Simple. So how we can save their current position and their current ID? Because we have the ID, as you can see, the person touch the line, there is a ID. So the current position is basically their center point. Their center point, when the center point touch to the first line, then we have detection. Then we want to count the detection. It means their current position when it touch the line is basically their center point coordinate. So we are going to simply save their ID and their center point current position, means coordinates. So coordinates is basically Cx and Cy. Simple, as simple. So let's just say, because I have already created the empty dictionary, we are going to save the ID and their current position in empty dictionary basically. So right now it's empty. So person down, first we are going to create a for downside. So person down is variable and dictionary. Simple. So we are going to save ID and their current position in dictionary format. Now here we have our condition match. Simply we can say person down. Person down, this is what our variable, person down, person down. So we need to simply mention person down. So person down, and then we need to mention their ID is equal to their current position. So their current position is what? As I mentioned, Cx and Cy. Simple. So Cx and Cy. Why Cx and Cy? Because we are using their center point. When the center point touch the line, then we are going to detect objects. So means the current position is basically center point. So Cx and Cy. Simple. So inside person down, now we have their ID and their current position. So if I print here our dictionary, print, just a minute, print our dictionary name, which is person down. Okay, person down. So if I save the code, if I run the code, so watch for this person. Right now inside dictionary there is nothing. As you can see, the dictionary is basically empty. But when the person touch the line, and as you can see, for this person we have ID 1. So this is what our ID 1, and this is the Cx and Cy coordinates for center point. Means when the person touch the line, in that time the coordinates is basically 794 and 196, and this is the ID. So for next person, watch for this person. This going basically, he is going basically up, and as you can see, touch the line, inside dictionary we have 8 their current position. So we are basically saving their ID and their current position when the person touching our first line, which is the green color. That's it, we have done. Now we have person ID and their current position. Now, but how we can say the person is basically going down? For that we need another line. So we create a next line which is yellow color, as you can see, yellow color. And same way the y coordinates which we want to create as a variable. So cy2, I have created here a cy2, and the coordinates, as you can see, 220. I have mentioned cy2 is basically 220. So same way we are going to change this 220 with cy2, as simple as it. That's it. Now I am going to open again frame. So we detecting our object when our object center point touch the first line, but we want to count their frequency. So how we can do this? Simply we can say when the person touch our first line, we are saving their ID and their current position. So simply we can say only count those person if it is inside our dictionary. Means when the person touch our first line, it's already cross our first area, and then after he will cross our second area. Means let's say for this person, first he will touch this line which is green color, which is our first line, of course. Then after we can save their ID and their current position. Then this person will touch this second line. Okay, so means we can simply say only count those ID which already touch our first line. For this person, it's already touch our first line, because we are saving their ID and their current position when the person touch our first line. So simply we have the ID and their current position for crossing our first area. Okay, so we can simply create the condition only count those person which already cross our first area and now they cross our second area. Simple. So for that we can create here a new condition. We are going to use our dictionary, because inside that dictionary we have data. The data is basically for person who touch our first line. We can say how we can use our dictionary. If ID, the person is basically the ID, because we are assigning the ID for each person. It is inside, if it is inside our dictionary, if ID in person down, this is what our dictionary name. If ID in person down, then we are going to draw a rectangle, then we are going to use a put text method, but we are going to change the rectangle color, then we will get the idea. Okay, so same way, if the ID in person down, and then we are going to create our condition. So our condition is what? This is what our condition, but only we are going to change here a variable. Okay, so here we have cy1, so this is for line 1. So line 2 we have cy2, line 2 we have cy2, as you can see, this is the line 2, we mention here cy2. So simply here we need to mention cy1. So this is for line 1 condition which we already create. Now person is already cross over line 1, now he will touch our line 2. So simply we need to mention here cy2, and the cy1 and offset will be same, and here also cy2. That's it. So then now the person touch our second line, then we are going to change the rectangle color. So let's make yellow, and the ID will be same. Simple. So if I save the code, if I run the code, Now you will get better idea. Okay, watch for this person, watch for this person. Touch the line, there is a ID 13, the rectangle is green, not green, the rectangle is basically red color. Now when the same person touch our second line, as you can see, the rectangle color is changed, it's now yellow, but the ID is same. It means we successfully create our condition. Now we have the data for frequency, means we successfully counting the person who basically going down, So simply we can create here a counter. This is what our condition. So after that we can simply create here a condition, not condition, we are going to now create our counter. So I have mentioned here counter 1 for downside, so counter 1 and the empty list. So inside that counter 1 empty list we are going to save their ID, because the ID is basically person. Simple. So we can simply say here counter 1 dot append, and what we want to append? We want to append the ID. Now if we print our counter 1 list, counter 1. Okay, if I save the code, if I run the code, so now right now the list is empty, as you can see. So watch for this person. This person is already crossed our first area, also he already crossed our second area. There is a 1. So 1 is basically the ID, but watch just a minute. Okay, watch just a minute. Watch for this person. He already touched our first area. Now he will touch our second area, and this person we have 13 ID, so it means we are saving their ID. But as you can see, the same person ID is counting again and again. This person also we have one ID, but it's counting same ID again and again. For this person also, as you can see, the 13, it's counting same ID again 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So how we can solve this error? Simply, why this happening? Because the person crossing our first to second area, meanwhile it will take some time and it will count the same ID again and again. So for that we can simply create here a condition here. If our counter 1, if our counter 1 dot count function, and what we are going to count? We are going to count the ID. So we can simply say, please don't count same ID again and again. If the ID is same again and again inside the list, don't count same ID again and again, only count once. That's it. Then we are going to append our list. Now it will count ID only once for each person, starting from this person. As you can see, if I skip the frame, if it's touch our first line, there is nothing, because we create our condition. When the person touch our first line, we are going to save their ID and their current position, and only those ID and current position we are going to count when the person touch at the second line. So he's touching our first line, but we are not going to count the person. When we are going to count? When the same person which already touched our first line and he is now touching our second line, same person, then only we are going to count. That's why this person is touch our line. Okay, as you can see here, let me show you, it's touch our line, there is ID, there is a rectangle red color, but inside our list there is nothing. When he touch our second line, and as you can see, we count 1. So 1 is basically their ID. Okay, so watch for next person, 13, the ID he touched our first line 13, but there is nothing inside our list, only one ID, means we count only 1. 13, as you can see, now this person is cross our first line, also second line, and then we have our ID inside our list, means we count 2 person. for going downside, okay, for going downside. So simply we can say here, this is the list, so list we have length. Now we have perfect counter. Now we are going to count. This is for downside, not for upside. We are only counting the downside people, okay. So if I save the code, if I run the code, okay, so how we can cross check? Watch for this person. This person is basically going upside, but it will not count, okay. Let's just watch. As you can see, we are not counting this person. We are counting only the person who is basically going downside. So one person we already counted, which is this person. So now watch for this person. First, then he will touch our second line. Then we count 2 person. Okay. Now watch for another person. This person, as you can see, we touch our second line and we have 4 count. Why? Because this one is also touch our line. So this one is basically third and this one is basically 4. So we count 4 person which basically going down. Let me show you again. If we start again and we want to watch carefully, okay, so there is nothing. So this one is first. Right now there is 0. As you can see, the first person 1, then we have 2. Now we have, as you can see, this person also and this person. We have 3, this one, 3 and 4. So how much counting? 4. Then this one is 5. Okay, so we successfully create the counter for downside. Now what we are going to do, I am going to simply start a while loop, and then we are going to mention this as a variable which is, let's say, down is equal to, and we are going to use here CV zone method. Copy it, and where we have our variable, after that put the CV zone method, and simply we can say here we are going to change the ID with our variable which is down, and we need also the text. So let's say down, and then the coordinates, let's say 50 60, and the rectangle 2 and text also 2. So if I save the code, if I run the code, and as you can see, down 1, we count down 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we count 10% which already go down. Simple. So this is for downside. Now we are going to reverse our condition and we are going to count upside. Same. Only we want to reverse the condition, means first it will touch our second line, then it will touch our first line. So same condition, same way, just copy it all the things from here, and let me say here for upside. So this is for upside, like this way. Okay, for upside, up. So this is for upside, and we are going to copy and paste all our method. Okay, from here just copy it and just paste here. Check if it is in line. So this is what our line where we want to start our condition. Yes, here. Okay, let me cross check if we are in line. So this is what if, and we need to make a backspace. Now it's in line, as you can see it's in line. This will go inside little bit here, this will come here, it's in line, and here also we have it's in line, and this we are going to make backspace, and here. Okay, so we copy paste. Now simply we want to reverse the condition. So here first we mention cy1 because we want to touch the first line when the person want to going down, but now person want to going up. So first it will touch our second line, which is cy2. So simply first condition is cy2. So cy1 we are going to change with cy2, and all other things are same, and the rectangle is also same. And here after that, if id in person down, so here we are going to mention our new variable, which is person up. Okay, so person down and person I am going to change with person up. Simple, person up. If id in person up, here also we are going to save their id and current position inside our person up dictionary, which I have already mentioned, as you can see, person up and dictionary. Okay, so person up dictionary, their current position cx and cy. If id in person up, then first it will touch our second line. For that we mention first cy2. Now it will touch our first line, so we need to mention cy1. Only as I mentioned, we want to reverse our condition cy1, then all the things are same, and here the counter 1 will become counter 2 because I have mentioned here counter 2 for going upside. Okay, then all the things are same, and here same way we are going to create for upside counter. Up is equal to, just copy and paste, and we are going to change this counter 1 with counter 2, and the put text method cv zone we are going to copy paste, and only we are going to change the variable, also the coordinates. So this will become up, and this will become up, and this we are going to mention 160. Okay, so if I save the code, and what we are going to do, first we are going to freeze the frame. So as you can see, we have now both counter for downside, for upside. Right now there is no count 0 0. So watch for downside, or let's say because this person is going up, so watch for this person. He touch our second line first, but there is no counting because we create the condition. First we will touch our second line, we are saving their id and their current position, and only count those id which already touch our second line, and he will touch our first line now. As you can see, he touch our first line, we have up 1, means we counting the person which going upside, which is 1. For downside, which I have already explained, we have count the 1 person. Okay, for upside, for watch for this person, watch for this person, we have already this person which already cross our first line, watch for this person, that's why we have second counter. Watch for this person, 3 count. Okay, let me show you again. For upside, this is the first person, this one is second person, so this person is already cross our first radius, that's why we have 1 count. Now watch for this person, touch our line, the green line, we have 2 count. Simple. So we create a perfect counter for direction, means downside and upside. So now what we are going to do, we are going to simply start our while loop. Let's just watch magic. Up 1, down 1, up 2, down 2, up 4, 5, down 7, up 5, up 7, down 8, up 8. So we counted perfectly using CV2 line method. I hope you will learn something from this video. We'll meet our next video. Till then, thank you, take care, and bye bye.